You're listening to In Kap We Trust for the Always Next Year Podcast Studio Network. You can find the team on our Twitter at ANYP Podcast or on our website, www.alwaysnextyearpodcast.com. And now, to bring us in, the Jackdaws.
A fighting man I used to be, revered and feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever fight me, I'll throw me call shin all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, and such eagle my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son still had me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.
Hello and welcome to another episode of In Kap We Trust for the Always Next Year Podcast. I'm your host, Shane. I'm joined by two guests today. I have Alex Carr, writer of The Good Phight. Alex, how are you, sir?
How's it going, Shane?
Going well, man. Going well. And then I have Jack, evening show producer and co-host of High Hopes Pod and 14 other podcasts through WIP. Jack, how are you?
I like the name. I kind of just realized the name of this podcast is There's Always Next Year. And
Yes.
I feel like that's a very like middle 2000s Philly sports mantra.
Thank you. Our resident alcoholic member, Baby Steve, he is the one who renamed the podcast but we kept it, and so far it's stuck. But yeah, hey, little bit. And the very first year we had this name was literally the year the Eagles won. So just
Talk about
awesome.
timing.
Right?
Come on.
Talk about timing. But we're rewarding some of our listeners today with some prospect and draft talk and analysis, things like that. The draft obviously just completed yesterday, 2 days ago, whatever it was. But my guys don't talk draft, so I'm adding you guys, and I'm pretty giddy about it. So Alex, you're the most positive Philadelphia Phillies fan in, I don't know, the history of time. And Jack, you piss everyone off, so I figured this is perfect to sit here and kind of blend some stuff together. But first round they went with Bryson Stott, UNLV shortstop, 14th overall. Jack, you wrote an article about him. First of all, you wrote 5 key things about him. Were you reaching on that 5th one? Because that's corny as hell.
Yeah, it was corny as hell, but you thought about it.
Of course I thought about it afterwards, but it was still corny. For those of you guys who did not read the article, his 5th point as to why you should be excited about Bryson Stott is literally the Scott to Stott double play combo called by Fransky on the radio.
Yes.
Come on, Fransky would kill that call. You know
He
that.
absolutely would kill that call, but damn, that's a reach, man. You should have just went top 4.
But is it not a reason to love the Bryson Stott pick?
Anything to hear Fransky's voice is a positive thing to Philadelphia sports.
Thank you.
So I fully support your ridiculousness of the 5th point in your article. I'm glad it was number 5, by the way, and not number 1. Given some of your antics on Twitter, I would not have been shocked had that been a little higher on your list there. But
Only the important things.
only the important things. But let's talk some of the actual things that you did put in there, and there were a handful of things. One in particular that really stuck out to me, and we'll get to it in a moment. But your first point there was his elite bat to ball skills. I know that you've probably watched hours upon hours of tape on him already. So why don't you give a little bit of your evaluation there as to why first of all, why it was the very first thing that came to mind in this article?
Well, because, I mean, at UNLV the last 2 years, he has walked more than he struck out. And that signals 2 things. It's that he controls the strike zone. I mean, the Phillies are obsessed with the term controlling the strike zone. So he's already advanced at that. And then if you're striking out 20, or I think he struck out 34 times and walked 59, like that is the ability to put the bat on the ball. What the Phillies have done the last couple of drafts that I think is really interesting, and you see with Hazley as well. Like Hazley is another one of those guys that just gets the fat part of the bat on the ball. And their philosophy is almost take a guy that we know can hit and hope we can unlock the power. And I think Stott is another one kind of like that. And in watching him, like, he just makes good, solid contact. He doesn't drive the ball all the time. He did pop 10 home runs last year after a swing change, but he consistently puts the bat on the baseball. And I'll take that in the first round. And I just think that when he adds 20 more pounds, I'll take a guy that I know can hit the baseball and hope the power comes a little bit later.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. And that was your second point there, is the fact that he does still have a bit of time to kind of fill out that frame. I also think the underrated thing and just an underrated key to the organization, you guys talk about it all the time on High Hopes, is Jason Ochart. I think if anyone can kind of unlock that additional power there and tinker with that swing and approach, it's him. And I do think that does wonders for a guy who did, I'm pretty sure, was he double his home runs, a little more, he did 4 home runs 2 years ago and 10 this year. Is that right? I can't
Yeah,
recall.
he went from 4 to 10, yeah.
So, I mean, not a huge power jump, but it's a power jump nevertheless. And, you mentioned it was due to a swing change as well. Alex, did you watch any tape on Bryson Stott? I'm sure that you did. You're as much of a nerd as we are.
Yeah, so I love this kid.
You love everyone.
Especially because you're right, but not everyone. I can tell you with positivity, not everyone.
Please tell me the person you don't love is Andrew Knapp. Just, make me feel good in the morning.
I can agree with many people that don't like Andrew Knapp. I think he has positives too. But anyway, that's beside the point.
He can work a walk, man.
That's literally the only thing he can do.
Well, it's his. You don't see switching and catches a lot. I mean, you got Matt Wieters and now Adley Rutschman, who's like going to be huge. But switching and catches are a rare commodity, and I think that kind of lets you slot him in a lot of places, especially off the bench. And I think he's proven of late that he's kind of the guy that you want to see off the bench. But I digress.
He has not proven that. Come on,
that's
man.
one swing. One swing this week does not really equate to my confidence level.
I mean, of course this is off topic, but he's worked some really, really good at bats, and he's walked quite a bit off the bench. And I think, I would prefer to have a better bat like Jay Bruce come off the bench, but I mean, currently with the way our bench stands, which is kind of in shambles, he's probably one of the primary options that we have. Because I mean, I know that speaks to kind of
speaks a lot.
How we're trending.
A lot.
Anyway, about Bryson.
Yes.
What I love about him is, and Jack was just talking about this, his ability to pick pitches. That's something that I love about Adam Hazley, is that and we saw that the other night, he can pick pitches like the best of them. And I think Bryson Stott has that same ability. And it also translates that he was the best pure contact hitter in the draft. I mean, of course you have guys like Vaughn who have the pop as well as the contact, but I mean, in terms of pure contact, Bryson Stott to me looked like the best pure contact hitter in the draft, and that's why he was my number one going into the draft. And I did not think he would fall, but boy, am I glad he did, because we're talking about a guy who Baseball America was ranked, I think, 10. Fangraphs had him at 11. Pipeline had him at 9. And I think Perfect Game had him at like 5, which is huge. I mean, we got this kid at 14. He fell that far. And, there's reason to love him. He's great with bat to ball. He picks his pitches. One thing that's interesting to me is that he likely projects more as like a third baseman defensively. He's not exactly a pure shortstop glove, but I do like his infield glove nonetheless. But yeah, his other tools are just uptrending. I mean, the power is the only thing that's probably a little bit below average, but like you guys mentioned, Ochart's going to do wonders for that. So.
Yeah, well, first of all, I did a terrible job at keeping here on topic, and we brought Andrew Knapp into a conversation that we definitely shouldn't have. So, Jack, if you're late for your haircut, dude, sorry.
No, it's all good.
But yeah, well, that was interesting. You said that was one of the things that I had found too, in a lot of my watching, was that he probably wouldn't stick at shortstop long term. I don't know, Jack, is that something you agree with? It's, anything that you've watched? I don't know if you purely watch hitting videos or if you took some fielding time as well.
Well, it's way easier to find his at bats than it is.
Yes, always is.
Yes.
When someone's going to hit the ball to him.
There is one 7-minute video that's pretty great on specifically just his fielding.
I think I watched the same video.
Yeah, probably.
Of course. But I don't know. Big shortstops, it's always hard to 100% project them as a shortstop going forward. But unless he gets too big, I think he can stick there for a little bit. But yeah, I don't have a definitive answer as to whether or not he can just. But the Phillies seem high on his ability to stay at shortstop. I'll say that.
Yeah,
they do, and that they express that. One of the things that you put in the article, and this is the thing that stuck out most with me. I'm definitely an intangible guy. I love the fact that he was under recruited and that I mean, you said it in your article, Jack, that he was, not drafted out of high school, under recruited, and had to fight and claw his way to being a potential top 10 pick in the first round of an MLB draft. That speaks volumes to the character and work ethic of a player. And if you're already been counted out as an individual, you have to go out there and work that much harder. And a city like Philadelphia really embraces that. And I think that, like, for certain players, there are special personalities that coming to Philadelphia is like the perfect destination. Like, we've talked about it on our show, Jack. I'm pretty sure you guys talked about it on yours as well. Like, this was the perfect city for a personality like Bryce Harper to, like, truly elevate his career to what it potentially could be. I don't know that he ever would have truly been that in a dog shit city like Washington. This is like that same type of character person that I would want in a first round draft pick. And I don't know how much more you want to talk about that based on what you put in your article, but for you, the intangible thing of a guy that, like I said, had to fight and claw his way to being a first round pick, it's something that you can speak volumes to.
Yeah, I mean, I just like the idea of taking a guy that was under recruited. Obviously, he had talent, but he went to UNLV. I mean, UNLV is not some kind of baseball powerhouse. I mean, they're out in Las Vegas, and he kind of just played with a bunch of high school friends, it looks like. So, under recruited, undrafted out of high school. Comes out, has a really good freshman year, and listen, for a guy that was undrafted, under-recruited, to be on Team USA, on the collegiate select team, to be on that team, and also work his way into a top 10 pick, like that shows to me that this guy is putting in the work, and I'd rather take a shot on that guy figuring it out than you usually see at the top of drafts, which are just the guys who came up and were almost gifted a lot of things. So I just like taking a shot on a guy with that character. The fact that he already works out with Bryce, I think, is good. So I like betting on those kind of guys.
And more than anything, that screams talent too. I mean, that ability to just kind of come up out of nowhere and shoehorn yourself into such a position where you can be, even projected as a top 10 pick. That's huge.
Yeah, could not agree more. So again, Bryson Stott, first round pick, taken 14th overall. Alex, you alluded to it, probably a top 1 or 2 contact hitter in the first round of that draft. So really, really nice steal there for the Phillies, for him to fall to them. Phillies did not have a second round pick in the draft due to the Harper signing, but 3rd through 10th round. Jack, you and I talked a little bit before Alex got on, whilst taking care of that temple over there that is his body. So good for you, Alex. You and I both really like the direction of the picks 3 through 10 there. Talk a little bit about some of the things that stuck out to you most about some of those draft picks.
Yeah, so Jamari Baylor, their 3rd round pick, the shortstop from Virginia, but I think he's going to eventually look like a third baseman or a left fielder. Obviously, it's hard to project what these guys are going to be, but I'll take a shot on a guy with hands as quick as him. Like I love those hands. And
yeah, I thought the same damn thing about Cornelius Randolph. Pissed me off.
Yeah, well, that's a little sad.
I know.
That's a little sad. Well, at least we didn't take Jamari Bell in the top 10 . So
true.
It's a third round pick. We'll take it. But I like taking a shot on guys with hands as quick as his, because I just think that plays well and that translates to the major league or minor league level. And then I just like the philosophy of, listen, this Phillies team has a window right now where they're trying to compete and they're trying to win World Series for the next, the Bryce Harper contract, the next decade. Like they're not planning to pick in the top 15, I would think, for the next decade. That if they do, something pretty much goes wrong. And I like that they pretty much drafted 3 relievers that all throw hard and have high spin rates. Like Andrew Schultz, the reliever from Tennessee, can hit 100 and that's a high spin rate on his curveball. Like I'm excited to see them take a shot on a guy like that. Eric Miller, I think he's one of the best college arms available when they picked him. I'm not sure if he's going to stick as a starter. He could, but I do love that he's up to 97 from the left side and pitched at Stanford. So I just like the idea behind that. Same thing with Brett Schultz. So I just like the idea of drafting They're finally drafting power arms that have high spin rates, that can break off breaking balls. And yeah, they may walk people right now. Like I think Andrew Schultz struck out 15 per 9 and walked like 5 or plus more per 9. So yep. I just like the philosophy of taking guys that throw hard, finally getting power arms in this system and not taking a Cal State Fullerton pitcher. Like, as long as they didn't take a Cal State Fullerton
That's
pitcher.
true.
We did it. We broke it.
Oh, finally, the curse of Cal
Finally.
State Fullerton is broken.
Oh.
So I just like the idea of power arms, and hopefully they can turn nice bullpen pieces, and maybe they can stick at starters. But I just think that's a good philosophy to go, especially with the way the game is trending.
Yeah, that was basically what I took from it. A bunch of big-bodied guys who really throw downhill, and like you said, their spin rate's insane, and that's something that is not really in our system right now. And the game has evolved. The game has changed. This is something that we severely lack. Almost every other pen in baseball has everything that we do not, and it drives me absolutely crazy to watch this bullpen at times. So I could not agree more. Most of the position players take into kind of that same philosophy of the Bryson Stott thing. We talked about that before we jumped on here. A bunch of guys that can really have some contact there. Alex, for you, man, what were some of your takeaways from 3 through 10? I mean, you basically just gave up on Twitter after the Bryson Stott pick. I feel like you just that was enough for you. We had already won the draft according to your tweet. But if you calmed the hell down the next day, what is some of your takeaways from 3 through 10?
I did. I calmed down the next day, or at least for my standards. So I kind of came into the draft kind of not expecting a lot, because compared to other relative years, it's a pretty low talent draft, aside from the top 4 or 5. However, I was kind of excited about what we were able to do, especially with 3 through 10. I feel like this kind of signaled to me that the Phillies feel like in their pitching development, they have a strong suit that lies in control and command smoothing out. Because I mean, you look at 5th round pick in Gunnar Mayer, and you see an 18-year-old JUCO guy that he's got a huge frame, absolutely massive dude at 18 years old that's throwing gas and has 2 really well-developed breaking balls. So that was really exciting for me. But on Eric Miller, I think that, we've seen before with guys like, there's 2 sides of the coin with guys like Spencer Howard or guys like Kyle Dowie, where that control is the only thing that you really need to harness in order to make them take that next step. And I think Eric Miller definitely has that same shot as a guy like Spencer Howard does. Because, I mean, you look at a guy that he walked, I think, 36 or something like that over his junior year. But, I mean, this guy's got a killer fastball, killer slider. Reminds me a lot of a Robbie Ray-esque pitcher. And I think that if he can hone in that command, that's going to be huge for him. And like you guys mentioned on Jamari Baylor, quick hands, I just hope that pans out, because all 5 tools are there. So as long as he can really focus on putting his bat to the ball and continue to progress the way he has been, I think that could potentially be a pretty big steal down the line. Especially, hopefully they get him to sign. But Fangraphs, I think, had him at in the 70s on their board, which is huge because, I think MLB and Baseball America were far distance from that. So there's definitely something there. So I'm really excited about definitely 3 through 5. Those are very exciting rounds for me. And I loved the Andrew Schultz pick. I think a guy that tops out at 102 is huge. I mean, that goes without saying. It speaks volumes when you can throw that hard and you can strike out that many guys and have a go-to pitch being your fastball. And then I'm not necessarily as hot on 7 through 9, just because I think Rudy Rott kind of just screams organizational bat to me. It kind of seems like a guy that's gonna hit, but only in the minor leagues. That wasn't too impressive to me. The Schultz pick was okay. Don't love his command. Like the secondaries, but that's about it. He has a good fastball too. But I do like Fastnacht. He's got a cool name, 80 grade name, and he made 13 All-American. He has a good eye, but other than that, and he's a local guy. I think he's 2 hours outside of Philadelphia, which is cool. But I definitely loved the top talent of the draft. I started questioning it a little bit at 7 through 9 just because I would have liked to see college bats go a little bit earlier. There were some really, really good college bats that stuck around till like the 5th round, I think. Like Mendoza stuck around till round 5 or round 4. And of course, I would rather pick Eric Miller at that point. But there were some really intriguing college bats that stuck around that I definitely would have liked to see us go after. But all in all, I think it was a high risk, high reward draft. And while you have that opportunity to make those risky picks, I think you should. So I'm very pleased with how things turned out.
Oh, Jack, if you had to pick just one of those guys from 3 through 10 to get excited about following their minor league transgression here and an ETA and a way too early ETA on when they can have an impact on the MLB team, who's the guy that you're going with?
I think Eric Miller would probably be the fastest guy to come through the system. He went to Stanford, obviously pitched. He's not totally polished yet, but I think if they need a lefty reliever, I think he can move up kind of quickly through the system. I still think the guy I'm most interested in following is Jamari Baylor because I want to see. I think he's a good test for future draft picks. Like if he hits and you see those kind of hands work, I just think that's one to store away for the future. And then I'm with Alex. Nate Fosnot, we had him on high hopes yesterday. He is a diehard Phillies fan. He went to World Series games in 08 and 09.
Cool. Yeah.
And I like that. I like that he went to the Cape after his freshman year, had a down sophomore year, and then came back like gangbusters in his junior year and had a monster year. And he compared himself to Alex Bregman. So maybe we got Alex Bregman in the 8th round.
Whoa!
Well, that's pretty fantastic. That's an orgasmically awesome thing.
Go ahead. That's awesome.
Also, definitely did not listen to your show yet. That's awesome you had him on. Good stuff.
I didn't listen to it yet either. I usually am pretty caught up with it.
Unbelievable. What are we doing here?
I know the things that we shouldn't admit on this show that we're not listening to the guests that I currently have on. Shock you to hang up the freaking phone. All right. So I'm putting you both on the spot here. After the draft, Alex, you already did this on Twitter yourself for a top 5. But I want to put together the official ANYP top 10. If we don't get the 10 right now, that's fine. But the new reworked top 10 prospect list, as you guys see it, and I'll give a little bit of input, but putting you two on the spot, you're going to build the official ANY podcast top 10 right now. Cool?
Can we just agree that Spencer Howard has to be number 1 at this point?
I feel like Jack may disagree, but go ahead.
I love Spencer. I love Spencer.
I love Spencer too.
He's so good. He's so good. Come on.
You want to go Spence?
Let him have it.
I'll give you Spence. Jack, are you good with Spence?
I'm putting Bohm first.
That's what I had too.
Damn.
All right. You got outranked there, kid. It's a tiebreaker there. I'm going with Bohm there also. But I would go Spencer Howard too. Yes.
Yes.
That good by everybody.
I would as well.
Yep.
All right. I feel like pretty much from here on out we may all disagree on everything. So Alex, we'll start with you since again you are the guy that we have on Talking Prospects every other month here at ANYP. Number 3, who's your pick here?
I've got Luis Garcia.
All right. Good.
I think a lot of people are going to be a little bit lower on him just because they see an 18-year-old in Lakewood and they say, "Oh, he's got a sub 200 batting average. He sucks." But I think people are very much underestimating how incredible that kid is. So that's my pick.
Definitely also very high on Luis Garcia. I also just loathe Adonis Medina, and I know that he's higher on everyone's board than mine. Jack, who would you go with number 3?
Yeah, I'm putting Luis too. He's super young for that age group. I mean, we had Sal Agustinelli on High Hopes like a long time ago, and he was just like, that kid's a stud. That guy is good. And like he's kind of like his personality is infectious, and he seems like one of those guys that loves baseball and is just willing to put in the work until he figures it out. And I'll take a shot on that guy at 18. He's playing in a super high level for an 18-year-old. I mean, Wander Franco literally just started hitting, and Wander Franco is the best prospect in baseball. So I'm willing to give Luis Garcia a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Sal, because if y'all don't know Sal Agustinelli, that man is an absolute genius. and there's a reason. There's a reason he won Scout of the Year last year. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I mean he's found so many studs from that area. I mean Sixto obviously just got moved. Medina, we'll see what he is. But yeah, the guy's bringing in legit studs for this team.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
He's amazing.
All right, Alex, we'll go to you again here. Who's your spot at number 4 here?
I'm gonna go Stott. I think he has definitely the most advanced eye that we have right now in the system, and I think, like Jack said, his bat to ball skills, they put him up there. So we haven't seen him yet perform, and wherever they're going to put him, but I think he deserves that spot.
All right, I could dig that as long as Adonis Medina is still not there. Jack, where are you at?
I'm gonna put. I guess Hazley still counts as a prospect. I'm gonna put.
That's who I had.
I'm gonna put Hazley at 4.
Okay.
So I went Hazley 4, and I went Stott at 5 on mine. Jack, does that work?
Yeah, I went Stott 5. Yes.
Works for me. I had Hazley 5.
So yeah, that's fine there too. I'm shocked you don't have Jojo Romero up there, dude. You and your obsession with that kid.
That is such a soft spot for me right now.
I know.
Why would you even? Oh.
I did finally go back and find your article, by the way.
He looked so good. He looked so good coming into this year. It's
well, again, he got shot up to a 6th-man rotation there, so it was all awkward. All right, so going back to you again, we went through 5 pretty quick, so I was going to just stop it there, but might as well just keep going here. Number 6, Alex.
Ooh, I think I'm going to have to go with Adonis there. That arsenal is really good. The control is the only thing that is not
He
there
just
yet.
has dog shit mechanics. He's also my number 6, but still. Jack, who you got in your 6th spot there?
Yeah, I'm out. I'm pretty much. I think Medina's going to be a bullpen arm. I don't see him starting anymore.
Don't lower the trade value.
I know.
No one listens to my show. People listen to his. So
I think
say the truth here.
He's going to be traded regardless. I think at the deadline. I think they want to
So do
move
I.
him. I'm going to put Francisco Morales at number 6. I love Francisco Morales.
I dig that.
I love that.
I had him down at 8 on mine, but because I like that more than the Medina thing, we'll go with you there. Francisco Morales, we'll go in the 6th spot. All right, Alex, 7. You want to go with your guy, or you want to put Medina there?
No, I'm not going with JoJo. I can't at this point. But
I appreciate that.
I'm definitely if Medina's not at what were we just at 6, then he's got to be at 7. You got to put him at 7.
Yeah, Jack.
I'm putting Moniak at 7.
That's what I was just about to say though. So
Life, Liberty, and Mickey Moniak second half splits.
Hey,
The guy's batting 300 since he came out of the bio. All in on Mick.
everyone a favor there by doing so.
We just talked about he just got off that 5-game hitting streak, and now he's back on a 2-game, I think. But he's like hitting extra base hits like nobody's problem.
I mean, he'll never walk, but he'll hit.
He walked 2 games in a row.
Uh-oh. Don't let him get hot.
So I don't know. I'm just saying.
All right, well, we will gladly go Moniak 7 and Adonis 8 here. We'll just keep pushing Adonis down my board, and I'm totally fine with that.
Push.
All right, 9 and 10 spots. Alex, who you got there?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think I'm gonna say for 9. I think I'm gonna say Rafael Marchan. I know that's kind of a weird, obscure pick, but I mean that dude. The reason he's in Lakewood right now is because he hits and he's not stopped hitting. For those who don't know who that is, it's a catcher I think he's like 14 on Pipeline right now. But he's got a really impressive contact tool, especially for a catcher.
Honestly, would not have even been on my board, but good for you.
I feel like 8 through 10 here is like kind of guys
genuinely doesn't matter.
Well, it's guys you want to believe in and guys that you could put Enyel in this scenario, but
not a fan.
Yeah, I mean he's just fine. Like I don't love putting in guys that are already in the big leagues, like Edgar Garcia or whatnot. I think Ramon Rosso is actually going to start shooting up. Like I like Ramon Rosso. I think I like him more than Medina, if I was being honest. I just think that I think Ramon Rosso's got some good spin rate on his fastball. I heard it's over like 2,400. on his four-seam fastball, and that's pretty much major league average. So, and he's dominating Double A right now. So I think Ramon Rosso is going to shoot up some big boards, and I would like to see if they trade Medina. I think Rosso is the right guy to bet on.
I agree.
Okay. All right, so I dig that 1 through 10 there. So this is no pressure, the official ANY podcast list, and for all of our couple hundred listeners, I'm sure they'll really enjoy it. All right, now that the draft is over and we've reworked kind of our prospect system, and you guys have had a few days to sit there and kind of think, all right, who's the now more or less movable pieces, given obvious IL stints now here at the Major League roster, given the draft and those pieces that we did take. For you guys, who is more movable now or more likely gone at the deadline, given the draft and all of your evaluations over the last several weeks, than what they may have been maybe going into the season? Jack, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so the deadline, I mean, I think Medina, I think they would have no problem putting him in a deal. And now that Hazley's up, I could see Moniak becoming a little bit more expendable. I think they would definitely put him in a deal. I don't think he'd be in a crazy big deal, like maybe a mad bum trade. I don't know. But I could see them moving Moniak, Medina, and then I don't know. I would, unless you're going after an elite reliever, like if you're going after Felipe Vasquez, I pretty much don't want to move Bohm, Howard, Luis Garcia, or Hazley. Like those are pretty much my four I don't want to touch. But if you're telling me I'm getting Felipe Vasquez, I would be tempted to put one of those guys in a deal. Like I think Felipe Vasquez is a guy that could be.
He's an exception.
Like for the next 4 years, you get a lockdown closer, and you could like let everyone else fall into place. Even though Hector's been really good in the ninth, I feel like he's just gonna be a year-to-year guy. Like 1 year amazing, 1 year off. I like Hector a lot, but I don't know if I can totally bank on him being this dominant for a long time. So if you can tell me,
when he's the only arm in the pen now.
Yeah, well, that's a different story. So, but if you're getting me an elite kind of back into the bullpen arm, I'd be tempted to put one of those guys in the deal. But I'm not giving up any of those guys for any 1 year rentals. I don't care if it's Mad Bum. I don't want to move those guys this year. It's not the year to do it.
Yeah, I think going into the season, I would have assumed this would be a year, but given the amount of injuries that we've gone through, I mean, Jack, you say it all the time. Alex, you've said it a handful of times. There are too many holes to fill right now where we're not one piece away, right, from a World Series right now. And I do think that giving up on any of the names, Jack, that you mentioned there, for a rental for a guy that you very well either one may not be able to or may not want to re-sign next year, I just think the price is entirely too steep. But if you do have a back end bullpen piece, or if a younger team control starter becomes available somewhere around the deadline, like those are things that you can consider differently. But yeah, I'm 100% on board on that. Alex, anyone for you that is either more or less movable now, given the state of the season?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Jack. Medina and Enyel, I kind of put in a little corner and say these are probably our only available pitching prospects in terms of like who we're willing to give up. Because let's face it, if anybody, the only of those top four that I'm even slightly considering moving is Adam Hazley, but he's also starting in the major leagues right now, which is like, you can't really argue with that. So I feel like Adonis and Enyel kind of headline that whole thing. But if I'm looking, in terms of medium pieces, I'm looking at Nick Maton. I love the kid, don't get me wrong, but he's having a really killer year in Clearwater. And I think we, obviously Stott, we just took in and Fosnacht, and, we drafted quite a few shortstops. And I think, Maton isn't exactly somebody that I look to and say, oh yeah, this guy definitely has a future with the team. So I think his trade stock has risen a little bit, and I think he's definitely one to look out for in a middling deal. And I could say the same for Simon Mazziotti, but I also just don't want to deal him because his contact and speed. But, if it comes to that, it comes to that. And like Jack said, if you're getting a guy like Felipe Vasquez, or if we're looking at a Mike Minor trade or something like that, then I would definitely pony up and try to get those pieces.
Would you rather move Muzziotti or Vierling? Because I think I'd rather move Muzziotti.
Me too. Vierling is just, he has too much potential. Well, Vierling is also so fast. I think he has 16 stolen bases this year, which is, I had no idea he was like that capably fast. But also his contact and power are just so like crazy, unexpectedly good that I can't help but want to hold on to him. So I'd probably move Muzziotti before I move Vierling.
Shocked you said that, honestly. I feel like we spent 35 minutes talking about him last time I had you on the show. Right answer, by the way, but still shocked. All right, last thing before we get off this show and let Jack go get his freaking haircut.
Thank you.
No problem, man. Just looking out for you. I appreciate you coming on.
11th grade hair.
So
listen, man, I've had a comb over since first grade. Listen, I can't get away from the comb over.
Genuinely, you probably look like one of those kids who, if you remove the beard, your yearbook photo is exactly the same every single year.
Oh, exactly. You should make that.
Which honestly, that's a good thing. You're gonna forever look, semi young and fine.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
There you go. You're married. Your life's over, so you don't have to impress anybody. So.
Of course not.
Jack, you should make that an incentive. If Pivetta, pitches an 8-inning or 9-inning game, you should shave your beard.
I'm sorry. Did you say if? I mean,
when?
Yeah, he's already gonna
a 9-game, 13 strikeout shutout. You should shave your beard.
I'm just saying, if that happens, I'm gonna be inconsolable. I mean, I'm just gonna be roasting people on Twitter that at my mentions the first 4 starts were insane, and I'm just letting people know that when he throws 8 shutout tomorrow night, there will be tweets.
Dude, I actually cannot log on Twitter when Pivetta pitches because my entire freaking feed is asshats sitting here adding you about Pivetta, whether it is a good start or a bad start. They got shit to say, and it is maddening. I don't know how you deal with it. I would mute my entire existence if I were you every 5th day.
There's a lot of mutes. So I don't see anything.
But a lot of bookmarks too.
Yeah, well,
those receipts.
Yeah, there's plenty of receipts. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. All right, final thing here. Let's build kind of our perfect deadline given the state of the organization right now and the pieces that we probably believe no longer are available for us. Let's go. The obvious needs: starting pitching, back end bullpen arm, the third base or outfield. Let's talk those positions now. If you guys had your ideal pick for anyone who is available. Let's go starting pitching. Alex, we'll start with you. Who's the pitcher you're going for, and what's a headliner of the package in that deal?
Gotta go Mike Minor, specifically because, first of all, if he's willing to extend, it doesn't exactly hurt you in the long term. He's got bullpen experience, and he's also having a career year as a starter. So I'm thinking Mike Minor, that or Trevor Bauer, but I'm not exactly excited about Trevor Bauer because of him as a person and also his unwillingness to extend. And headlining for that package, I would hope Adonis Medina and a little bit of depth would get that done. And obviously, some middling prospects and some solid return. But I've been talking to Matt Winkleman recently, and he does not think that Adonis Medina could headline that package. So it's tough to say. It depends on what Texas is looking for. It depends on if they're even selling. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think Mike Minor is the one on most people's minds at this point, especially because you can package him with a few other major league ready pieces that could help us right now. Jack, starting pitching, your go-to option right now, and who would headline your deal?
Yeah, it's Minor. Actually has the highest starting pitcher 4-seam fastball in baseball right now, just from a spin rate perspective. So I think he's really, really good. His home ERA is 2.5. Pitching in that ballpark.
Wind tunnels.
That's great. Yeah.
Hamels last year I think was in the 4 or 5 range. So I would really, really like Mike Minor, and I think if you add Pence to that deal, I think a Bruce Pence left field, I think it helps a lot. Like just you have platoon options, you have a righty bat, you have a lefty bat, you have a good legitimate bench off the bat, or off the a good bat off the bench, so that you're not batting Phil Gosselin against Rich Hill and
Exactly.
when you need a hit. So
Oh.
I think Pence and Minor would be a really, really good package to come together. I agree. I don't think Medina can headline a deal, but we'll see. If not him, I would give up good legitimate prospects for a guy like Kyle Crick from Pittsburgh. He has 5 more years of control, but his slider rates in at like 3,100 RPMs. And I just think that if you can add that kind of weapon at the end of ball games, I think he can be a multi-inning guy. 5 more years control, I would give up a legitimate prospect to go get Kyle Crick, and because I think he's going to turn into this year's Ryan Presley if he does get dealed. And nice. I would definitely give up a good amount for a guy like Kyle Crick.
And Jack, we talked about Corey Dickerson as well, so that could possibly package well depending on how far they're willing to go into that exploratory phase. So
yeah, there's teams like, I mean, the Reds can fill a lot of our needs, the Pirates can fill a lot of our needs, the Rangers can fill a lot of our needs. The Giants, all have it. Yep. They all just kind of have to fill out. They all kind of just have to fall out. Like the Rangers are 1 game out in the AL West or in the AL wild card. Like, but they're not winning this year. So just start falling out and trade as your good players. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And a lot of the people a lot of the teams that do link up with us, well, they are still kind of in conversation. Half of the teams are anyway. And it does make things difficult. Go ahead, Alex.
I did want to mention that there's also the fact that if Medina is not enough to get it done, Shin-Soo Choo is still over there in Texas, and
I still love Shin-Soo Choo.
He's got a hefty deal on his hands.
Yeah,
so I'm sure
a lot of money.
Yeah, I know, but I'm sure we wouldn't have to take on the entirety of that contract, and it also expires, I think, next year. So I think maybe it might be worth looking into that, especially if they're not planning to stay under the tax. I don't know what Middleton is, what his thought process is for this deadline, but
well, if they're willing to go into the tax penalty at this point, they'll take on any contract and it won't matter.
Exactly. So we'll see.
All right. Well, let's third base, outfield, and bench help. Anyone in particular that you guys have not already mentioned that you would look to right now that would be an affordable get for us at the deadline? We'll start with Jack.
I mean, Gerard Dyson's interesting. He can play center field. He's having a really good offensive season. He'll steal you a base late in games. I don't think it would cost a lot, obviously. But I'm cool giving Hazley as much time as possible. I just think that's better for the long-term future of the Phils. I mean, we saw what happened with Kingery last year. I mean, Kingery was a disaster at the plate offensively.
Yes.
And this year, I think that helped him. Going through that last year helped him turn around. And if Hazley gets all these at bats and whether he struggles or whatnot, I just think that's ultimately the best thing for the Phillies. So if you want to bring in a guy to complement him, that's fine. But I want to give Hazley the lion's share. And then third base, it feels like Kingery. I mean, I want to see Scott Kingery play as much as possible. I don't want to see Mike Franco play anymore.
I don't want to see him exist.
I mean, listen, Mike Moustakas and Michael Franco are the same player. It's just,
exact same player.
It's why even upgrade from Michael Franco?
That is the most maddening argument to ever have been had on Twitter. Speaking to those humans the entire offseason. Oh my God.
It drove me crazy. But I mean, Kingery at third base. I'm cool with Kingery, third base, center field, Hazley, and if you want to add another depth outfielder, I'm cool with that. Melky is a guy. I mean, I can't believe he's batting 335 still. Like the guy still rakes. And Alex actually had an interesting idea that I'm sure he'll touch on here.
Yes. Yeah. Jack and I talked about Corey Dickerson as an option. I think, left-handed bat definitely slots well into the bottom of the order. I think he's a really, really good option if you're looking for depth. You also mentioned Melky, which I cannot believe, even after the whole PED thing and everything that happened with him, he's still trucking along and hitting well. And then we mentioned Pence and we mentioned, guys like that. But I'm definitely on board with the Kingery at third for now. I'm of the personal opinion that we should trade Cesar Hernandez after this year, because his value is never going to be higher. Second base market sucks all the time. And if you can get something out of him, it's better than paying him upwards of $9.5 million, and then just letting him go. And I think Scott Kingery has proven that his defense is legit and his bat is even better. So I would really like to see that happen, and then we can sign a placeholder until Alec Bohm is ready. But yeah, I think Kingery at third for the remainder of the season looks good to me. Michael was looking promising for a little bit, but he fell right off the edge of a cliff.
Michael does the exact same thing every year. He has 6 weeks every season where he looks
I
like
know
a legit baseball player, both offensively and defensively.
Although
and then,
to his credit, the defense looked really, really sharp this year, and that was so exciting.
he doesn't have range, but he's got a nice glove. And he's got a cannon for an arm.
And it's just such a shame. But that happens, so.
It does. It does. Let's get Jack to his haircut, so we'll go to one final thought from each of you guys as we we could talk draft, we could talk whatever. Alex, we'll start with you, man.
Yeah, I'm super excited with how the draft went. I really like the high risk, high reward, and I'm really excited to see how this deadline goes. Lots of spots to be filled, lots of things to address, but I think over the course of this next month, we're really going to see where this team is looking to go in 2019, and 2020 is going to be a good one. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
All right, man. As am I. Jack, give us a Pavetta take that'll piss off everyone else besides me and Alex. You don't actually have to go Pavetta. You can go with literally whatever you want.
No, I'll dish out a Pavetta, and then I got an actual final thought. If the playoffs start today, Nick Pavetta is your game 1 starter. And,
Game 1.
and
You're an ass.
and
Just got
Jay Bruce has as many home runs as a Philly in 9 at-bats as Robinson Cano has in 170 at-bats for the Mets. So
Say it louder. Say it louder. Oh.
Hilarious.
That's good
Absolutely
stuff.
hilarious. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for coming on. I do definitely appreciate it. For our listeners who do not know either of you guys, first of all, they are must-follows on Twitter. Both of them probably will meet you at some point in your existence because most of my listeners are not the most intelligent. That said, Alex, where can my listeners find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Alex Carr MLB on Twitter.
And
so
you can,
better than your old ad. Your old ad was what? Can we fix it? MLB.
Yeah, dude, I didn't know I was gonna get anywhere close to where I am in terms of follower count.
Lame.
I know, I'm so weird, but I'm.
oh, hey,
like,
well done.
Let me give that to anybody and everybody that follows me. I'm so blessed and honored because I just spiked majorly over the last couple of days, and I'm so Justin and Pavetta Hype gave me shout out to Pavetta Hype. He gave me a shout out here and there, and I had a couple of tweets that were circulating really well, and it all just kind of lined up. So big shout out to everybody that follows me. Thank you so much. I'm so blessed. And the Phillies are the most attractive team in baseball. Let's go.
That is your main argument all year. You
baby.
Fall back on that. Jack, where can my listeners find you on Twitter?
Jack Fritz WIP.
And as we mentioned, Jack's on 45 different podcasts, and Alex writes for The Good Fight, so you can find both of their content, both written and podcast. Jack also writes now, which is crazy. Good for you, Jack. Stretches on his fifth comments on all articles written, but good for you.
Yes.
You can find me at Shane_Mead. And you can follow the podcast at ANYP Podcast and visit us on our website, www.alwaysnextyearpodcast.com. That'll be it for this episode of In Kap We Trust, guys. Thanks again. I appreciate you coming on.
Cheers, man.
See you, man.
A fighting man I used to be, revered and feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with a win. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me solid through and through, and such over my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky soul still have me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.
This has been a production of the Always Next Year Podcast Network. You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, Spreaker, and SoundCloud. Please also remember to rate and review this podcast to validate our members' life choices. We appreciate it. This is ANYP, signing off.